Hi, and welcome to Wild Stringdom, where every month we examine and analyze guitarists who have really changed and revolutionized the way that we play guitar. This month's featured guitar player is John Petrucci from the band DreamTheater. We're going to be examining Pull Me Under, which is from their 1992 album, Images and Words. We're going to start in the solo section on page 157, measure 143, in the DreamTheater Anthology Songbook, which can be found on the Educational Media tab there to the top right. Here we're going to learn to develop picking techniques and learn how to build and transition from one fragment or sequence into another. This composition is filled with the tools that will really catapult your playing to new levels, but you have to be willing to learn and make some changes in your playing. So why don't you go ahead and download that book, get yourself tuned up, turn to page 157, and let's start. Here we have, in measure 143, a series of amazingly fast sequence of notes. There's 8 notes per beat. 4 of those notes are going to recur on the downbeat. 4 of them are going to recur on the upbeat for the total of 8. There are 2 scale shapes, or 2 tonal centers that are happening within that measure, if you want to get nitpicky about it. The first one is E natural minor, or the Aeolian mode, which is the 6th mode of G major. And this is what this scale sounds like. He changes tonal centers at the 16th note of that sequence, and he uses a D sharp, which raises that minor 7th to a major 7th, thus giving it this harmonic minor sound. And that occurs for the rest of the 17 notes he's in E harmonic minor. The chords that are happening while he's playing this sequence can be found in G major. The first chord being G5 that you see, the 1 chord, B5, which would be the minor 3 chord, C5, which would be the 4 major chord, followed by A minor, which would be the 2 minor chord. So that is really the theoretical component to that specific measure, and the musical truths that we are discussing are important to hear because they build our understanding and our vocabulary, and all of that is very, very, very important. The theoretical side is one side, but the geometry and the physical mechanics are the other side of the musical mountain peak. And so here's what's being done. He's playing a 3-note per string pattern. See here. And he's playing it that way because it allows him to achieve great amounts of speed very, very quickly. Every 7th note, John slides to the 8th note, or the end of that beat, and he does that 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just to finish up the sequence there. So that happens on the B string from the 12 to the 10, on the G from the 9 to the 8, and on the D from the A to the G. That happens 3 times. And so when building the sequence, we need to build it at its rudimentary level, very slow, to where we recognize and we see those slides, because they move very, very, very fast. As you can see, they're 30-second notes. We want to program the right technique, and we need to do that very slowly. So we've established the theoretical component. We've identified the tonal centers that were taking place, and we have the symmetry and the geometry and the scale shapes and those things. The music in front of us tells us that. That's all very correct, and that's the scale shape that I'm using. And I guess you could say that we mathematically we're kind of trying to understand what's happening in the groupings of notes and whatnot up against the quarter note beat. We discussed that, and we're going to discuss that in further detail the more we move along. And so with all of that kind of stuff set aside right now, that's a whole area. It's can be very confusing. And now we're going to get to what I think is probably the most important. And I've heard a lot of great guitar players talk about this too, so I'm not alone in thinking like this. It's really focusing on the sound, the texture, the symmetry, and the physical component. And having a really good gut instinct about playing and being able to make it sound good, because all that stuff is great, but if you're not really digesting it and really working on the physical mechanics part of it, then it's and internalizing it, then it's not going to come to you, and maybe not at all. And if it does come, it's probably just going to be just like a foreshadow of what you really want to hear. And so we need to start discussing a little bit the physical mechanics of how to achieve those kinds of speeds and tonalities. As I drop my pick, there you go. So I need them taped right here so you can rip them off, right? So let's talk about pick grip, muting, and anchoring our right hand, and our working on marrying that with our left hand here. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our pick grip is right. We're holding a pick, holding it nice and close. You see I'm kind of just exposed, maybe just a little bit there, not a lot if you can see that all right. And I'm not keeping it perpendicular, I'm keeping it almost vertical. And I'm kind of making like this half moon happy face across my strings, where the pick, though vertical, is kind of moving this way, so my pick doesn't get caught between the strings. I know it's kind of hard to see with my finger possibly in the way there, but if you were to take your pick, hold it close like that, and start placing it behind your neck humbucker a little bit, that's kind of where the sweet spot is, and anchor your palm down and just kind of move this way, you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about. And if you take and make the pick perpendicular, you're going to see that there's resistance there, and that resistance is going to debilitate our ability to move very quickly. So your pick grip, the pick that you're using, I'm using a John Petrucci pick, how you hold your pick, where you place your palm, which I'm placing mine near the bridge, and I'm kind of using my pinky as I'm resting my pinky down to be able to anchor myself there so I can have a good forearm kind of wrist rotation there. And I'm really working on that and trying to build that mechanism into my playing, and to be able to do it as flawlessly as I can. So that's what I'm doing with my right hand, and my left hand I'm kind of keeping a classical grip. I'm not like torquing my hand at all. As you see, I'm making it the transition to be just the same as I'm working my way up the neck. My grip kind of stays just like this. And so you see how my hand was moving this way, and how I kept my left hand, as I was making those shifts, my hand stayed nice and relaxed, and I kept it to a 3-note per string pattern. And I was trying to make each note sound as even as possible, and I wasn't trying to strain it or to push it or to muscle through it. I just was moving the pick and using the mechanics of just efficiency of picking, and try to just apply it, and not trying to just, like I said, muscle myself through it. That's where a lot of mistakes will absolutely happen. So what can we work on this week? Well, we can take some of these ideas and these thoughts that I've presented and start applying them 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it may be, into our playing. So eventually this stuff will start coming out, and it will start becoming more, we'll start connecting with it more, and it'll start becoming more accurate and a part of our playing. And hopefully by the end of the month we'll be up to speed or close to speed on the solo for those who are following along. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, leave them in the box below. Leave them on my Facebook. Send me a message, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope that I have been some help to you guys today. Take care. Until next time.